guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called Hoping for My Death. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! Some say people don't fear death itself, but only seek an end to their suffering. Could this be true for Silvia Florette? In Florette County, Silvia's parents are shocked to hear her accept the Duke of Bellefort's marriage proposal. The Florette couple are on the verge of tears, seeing her finally make something of her life. For the past 22 years, Silvia's parents gave her everything, but she refused to accept most of it. She only wants a comfortable bed. Worried about who'll care for their fragile daughter after they're gone, they search for a son-in-law, the Duke of Bellefort. As Silvia sips tea, she quietly thinks, monsters that appear in the Bellefort Duchy can be her chance to die, since she, Alyssa, can't kill herself. A few days ago in the royal palace of Alvarez, the king urged Randal Bellefort, the Duke of Bellefort, to find a partner, mentioning the Florette's couple's search for a son-in-law, in order dressed as advice. Fearing for his territory, the demon land Cabetia, and losing food aid, he has no choice but to obey. On the wedding day in Bellefort Duchy, Randal stops his guards from singing about his marriage. He frowns, recalling they were opposed to his marriage. Annoyed, he threatens to double their training when he returns, then walks away. He turns to Austin, Bellefort's wizard, and asks about the teleportation circle to the capital. Austin casts the teleportation circle, and Randal orders the departure. He hopes he and his wife will get along. There's no guarantee House Florette isn't the king's followers. He also hopes he'll never need to kill his wife. In the Alvarez wedding hall, the Florette couple shed a tear. Worried, they tell Silvia to come home immediately if she's mistreated. She assures them and walks away to meet her husband. If she's unlucky, she might live long. She never wanted this life, or rather, her 100th life. 100th? No wonder she's so eager to die. Alyssa reincarnated 99 times. In her first life, she was an archmage who was praised for fighting demons. To ensure the people's happiness, she studied darkness, a power wielded by demons. Once she mastered it, she opened a portal to the demons' world and told her colleagues. Fearing her growing power, they pushed her down the demon world, leaving her to wonder what she did wrong. Alyssa killed demons and Vassus, the demon lord, looking demonic herself. Consumed by madness, she took revenge and attacked the human world. Suddenly, warrior Cleon appeared and killed her using his magic-infused sword. Soon after, she woke up in a snowy white void, certain she had died. A voice speaks, saying she must pay for her sins by living 99 lives through reincarnation. She tried to commit suicide several times, but she couldn't take her own life. If she tries to kill herself once she's free, she'll have to repeat her punishment. This makes her numb. They say villains aren't born, they're made. Back in reality, she smiles at Randal and takes his hand. Together they walk down the aisle and are lost in thought. He notices how thin and petite she is, while Silvia thinks he's a nice guy. They arrive at the altar and the ceremony begins. The priest declares them as husband and wife and tells them they may now kiss. He looks at his guards, holding their laughter. Since she's 3 years younger, Randal thinks she'll be embarrassed. He gently takes the bouquet in her hands, lifts it to cover their face, and leans in as if they're kissing behind it. Suddenly, she tells him to part his lips and leans in to kiss him. She pulls away, leaving him flustered. With God watching, it's best to show she and her husband get along. OMG! During the reception, everyone is struck by Silvia's beauty and Randal's charm as they dance. They believe she's a succubus. Randal pauses, unsure how to address her. She reads his expression and says to call her Silvia, or whatever he prefers. His thoughts must have shown through his face. He says to call him Randal and speak casually. He doesn't want others to feel below him. Hearing this makes her smile, and they continue to dance. Suddenly, a maid calls Silvia to change her clothes. She heads to the changing room while Randal approaches the Florette couple. He promises to take good care of their daughter, and they're welcome to lecture him if he ever has shortcomings. Then, he asks if Silvia only stayed in the manor for the past 22 years. The couple grows concerned, telling him Silvia is heavily lethargic. She once slept for 3 days straight. Randal is speechless. The next day, as everyone gets ready to depart, he glances at Silvia, wondering how someone can lay in bed all day. He must force her to walk at least once a day. Austin informs Randal the teleportation circle is ready and expresses his gratitude. He approaches Silvia, calling her wife, and tells her they must depart. Inside the carriage, she's lost in thought. Sorry, yet relieved he's a kind person. It'll make things easier for him to remarry after she dies. She peeks through the carriage window. Only trees. Thoughts of her parents fill her mind. She feels stuffy and just wants to lie in bed once they arrive. She'll have to endure the long journey. After all, it's their first night. Outside the carriage, Randal grows cautious after hearing something. He notices Austin's unhappy expression, but Austin says it's because of the old-fashioned flashy portal. Randal suggests making a new portal, but Austin refuses. He doesn't get paid enough to drain his magic. This money-obsessed guy. That's right, Austin. Demand a higher salary. As the journey carries on, Silvia and Randal are alarmed by the sound they hear. Randal orders Austin to cast a barrier around the forest and tells Silvia to stay quiet inside the carriage. Suddenly, a creeping sound echoes as a dark aura spreads through the environment. Without warning, several beasts lunge at them. Pyrobats. They take down one pyrobat after another, with Randal slaying most of them. As he finishes another, he worries about Silvia trembling in fear, but she's calmly watching the brawl. Jeffrey, a knight, catches his breath. He admires Randal killing half of the pyrobats, but suddenly 2 children appear from the bushes. Alarmed, he tells them to hide somewhere safe, but they're frozen, trembling in shock and fear. Suddenly, a pyrobat charges at him, slamming him into the carriage door and breaking it. Silvia steps out and is faced with a pyrobat. Randal rushes to her, but she freezes as her eyes glow with fiery red and orange light. As her eyes glow, she reanimates a dead pyrobat, which attacks the pyrobat charging at her. The 2 pyrobats fight in front of her, leaving Jeffrey stunned. She glances at Jeffrey, silencing him. His eyes turn red before he drops unconscious. Randal rushes to Silvia, then turns to Jeffrey. The guards rush to his aid, calling for Austin. She notices Randal's hand trembling in shock and fear, so she holds his hand, assuring him Jeffrey will be fine. Amazing! She still remembers her magic from her past life. At the castle, Jeffrey awakens and apologizes to Silvia for the situation she saw. Then he wonders about the children. Silvia never thought she'd use magic in this life. She saw the monster as a chance to die, but not like that, not in front of the children. Besides, Randal had grown deeply concerned for her. Seeing his wife die like that could traumatize him. She'll have to wait for the next opportunity to die. She's relieved Austin wasn't nearby. He would have sensed her magic. She'll have to be more careful. Suddenly, Walcott, the butler, and Thelma, the head maid, greet them. They return the gesture. Thelma leads Silvia to her room, but a portrait of the formal ducal couple catches her eye. She knows them. In her past life, she once helped a shabby couple in the forest, unaware they were the Duke and Duchess. In the evening, the maids chat with Silvia as they help her bathe, admiring her beauty and humor. However, she feels pressured to consummate their marriage. She wants to do it properly and quickly. She enters their room to find Randal waiting. He greets her and she returns the gesture. She notices his chest showing. His body isn't bad. Randal says he has something to discuss and she suggests they sit together. Shyly, he takes the seat beside her on the bed. He plans to suggest they rest after a long day, but she suddenly starts to undress him, catching him completely off guard. She explains it's their marital duty while she climbs on top of him. He insists she doesn't have to do this out of obligation, especially if she doesn't like him, but she says she does, making him blush instantly. Feeling awkward, he looks away and asks her to come down. She glances at him, reads his flustered expression, and gets down. Before she could, she falls onto his chest and drifts into sleep. He grows concerned. This must be the aftershock after the forest situation. He tries to call Walcott and Thelma, but worries she'll wake up from her slumber. Her clothes might slip if he moves her. He has no choice but to stay up. He's so easily flustered. The next day, she wakes up and asks if they did it. Randal takes it the wrong way. He isn't someone who takes advantage of a sleeping woman. In the dining hall, he presents a feast for her. She's overwhelmed they didn't do it last night. She turns to him, asking when they'll consummate their marriage. In disbelief, he repeats that she's not obligated to do it, but she fears she might be ridiculed as a duchess if their marriage isn't consummated. Randal assures her she won't. She becomes quiet. How could she not be criticized when normal couples consummate their marriage on the first night? She needs to deceive God to die naturally in this life, but she needs to pretend they're a normal couple. She needs his help to expedite her death, so she proposes a deal. A deal? This sparks curiosity in him. She happily says they should try liking each other. For every touch, she'll grant him something he wants. He asks for clarity. Touching? She means they hold hands, and he agrees. Then she asks what he wants. He gives her a cheeky smile and offers Bellafort's specialty, hinting she should eat it. She's horrified. His request is too cruel. She can barely eat any meal. I love how he's so concerned about her health. Moments later, they walk through the garden while holding hands. He can't help but laugh over his request. Was he too cruel on her? Although it's an arranged marriage, he doesn't mind holding her hand. If she's the king's spy, it'd be easier to watch her when she's close. He speaks up, mentioning the vassal's arrival. It's her first time officially greeting them as Duchess, and they're eager to meet her. He assures her Thelma and Walcott will help her with the banquet. It won't be hard for her since she's done it a few times in her past life, but she'll do her best. He takes his leave and she bids him goodbye, purposely calling him honey to fluster him. That's her revenge for that specialty meal. At Bellafort's entrance, Randal and his guards meet the forest children, warning them not to go there again. But the children explain. They went to gather herbs since the old herb garden was damaged. He understands and sends them off. He wonders, does the herb garden get damaged frequently? Suspecting a lurking monster, he gathers his guards and investigates. Moments later, they gather in the forest. Before separating, he instructs them to check all barrier stones are working properly. Not long after, 4 out of 5 report the barrier stones are functioning properly. Only one at the center of the forest remains unchecked. They head to the last stone, only to find it split in half. Suddenly, an enormous snake lunges at them. They draw their swords and kill the snake. Randal orders the injured to be taken back to the castle while he inspects the stone. The stone is cut cleanly. It can't be monsters nor demons. Austin's barrier would have been alarmed and reacted. He suspects the darkness bug. They're no longer human, yet they still do these acts. He orders his guards to call the vassals and submit a list of everyone entering and leaving their territories. They must find them before they can do further harm. At the castle, Thelma shows Silvia the newly refurbished banquet. Silvia suggests renovating the banquet hall, as it's where most guests gather. Thelma's prepared. She already called the head of the organization. In the reception room, Silvia meets Chick Hedera, the owner of Cheville. Before discussing the renovations, he plans to take advantage of her, assuming she's ignorant. Thelma asks for the price, and he demands 30 gold. Thelma and the maids turn pale, telling Silvia it's more than Duke Bellafort's monthly profit. Silvia remembers that most of Bellafort's income goes to aiding victims from demon attacks. Thelma tries to negotiate, but Chick throws a tantrum. She tries again, but Silvia interrupts. With a cold expression, she tells Chick she saw those items before her marriage. Clearly last season's items. She accuses him of trying to sell unsold goods at a higher price. He argues back, but she threatens him. If there's any falsehood in his words, he'll be an enemy to both Florette and Bellafort Duchy. As she's about to sign the paperwork, he stops her and lowers his price to 15 gold. That same evening, Thelma tells Randal of Silvia's negotiation and plans to express his gratitude, but she's asleep. He carefully scoots into bed, hoping she won't wake up. Suddenly, she leans closer to him, but he stops her. She says they don't have to do it, but physical intimacy is part of being a couple, and wonders why he keeps avoiding it. He sighs, pulls her close to his chest, and tells her to sleep. What a peculiar woman! I guess cuddling is the next step. In Randal's office, Austin notes he's been smiling a lot lately, like a puppy. Randal can't help it, remembering how Silvia refused to eat even when he offered to hold her hand, until he promised to hug instead. Suddenly, Austin raises his voice, asking him what he'll do if Silvia is truly the king's spy. Randal grows upset and warns him. Austin quickly apologizes for his behavior. Then, they discuss how reinforcing the barrier will take some time. He'll do his best, if Randal gives him a bonus. Randal agrees, and Austin leaves happily. As Silvia and Thelma walk outside the palace, Silvia grows tired after trying on many banquet outfits. She looks pretty in every outfit. Suddenly, she notices Austin on the grass, his notes scattered around him. Furious, Thelma and Austin argue about his scheduled naps. Thelma excuses Silvia, saying she needs to clean up trash, meaning Austin. Silvia notes the lighting temperature and humidity are perfect for lounging. She takes a seat beside him, but he's cautious. She might be the king's spy. She notices the barrier formula she had made when she was Alyssa. Frustrated, he screams. If she helps him, the possibility of her death will decrease, so she plans to ruin it. She asks to see his notes and mentions her father is the vice president of Alvarez Academy. As she checks, she recalls Thelma saying Austin is the only one worthy to be called Archmage after Alyssa, but he has a long way to go. Alyssa had a habit of fixing formulas without noticing. Silvia writes on Austin's paper and he quickly snatches it back, only to realize she just solved his problem. She fixed it without realizing it. She gets up and pleads with him not to tell anyone she fixed it. How could he not? He lets his guard down and admires her, screaming out her name. On the night of the banquet, butlers dress Randal as he worries Silvia might be waiting. Once ready, he can't wait to see her. In the other room, maids adore how gorgeous Silvia looks. They spent hours dressing her. Suddenly, a maid announces Randal is at the door. Everyone's excited to present Silvia to Randal. She steps out in a stunning white dress, leaving Randal starstruck. She apologizes for the wait, but he doesn't mind. He approaches her and calls her beautiful. She teases him, saying she'll wear the outfit to the bedroom. Randal and Silvia thank the guests for congratulating their marriage. He introduces her as his equal, and she happily greets them. The guests adore the beautiful couple, noting their strong relationship. But in the background, a girl watches unhappily. Do we have an antagonist here? Suddenly, Malta Sacrine and Randal greet each other. When Randal asks about Philia, Malta Sacrine sighs in dismay. She went down south to see the war. Randal asks about the war, and Malta Sacrine says the crown prince is still acting like a madman. Silvia glances at Randal, admiring how humble he is, unlike most people with higher status. She thinks that it'd be best to fulfill their marital duties and stop seeing each other. Suddenly, Rubia Glaver greets her. Silvia pauses. She can feel the aura Rubia gives off, binded by their excessive loyalty that they'll defy their own loyalty to go against their lord. Rubia's gaze turns cold as she asks Silvia if she knows how many opportunities the northern region lost due to their marriage. She confronts Silvia, saying marriage is a way to expand influence, but since the Floret family is one of His Majesty's most loyal subjects, would she even be any real help to the north? She has a point, but the king arranged them together. She believes other ladies are worthy of the spot Silvia's sitting in. If she cares for his lordship, she should step down. She waits for her response, but Silvia responds lethargically. She chuckles, telling her she won't annul her marriage with Randal. Knowing neither she nor Randal arranged the marriage, it's cowardly of Rubia to condemn her. Suddenly, a magic circle forms on the ceiling and a monster with tentacles steps out, throwing everyone into a panic. Randal shouts for her to run as a tentacle lunges at her feet, but she freezes. Is this her chance to die? A hand grabs her to the side. It's Rubia saving her life. The monster appears at Rubia's side. Without hesitation, Silvia protects her. She collapses, falling unconscious and bloody as Randal's voice echoes, calling out her name. Everything turned black. She wakes up as Alyssa with blood on her body. She sees a boy with white hair next to her and asks his name. It's Cleon. Cleon the warrior? She mishears it as Leo and keeps calling him that. Annoyed, he eventually accepts it since she saved his life from a monster. From then on, he followed Alyssa around and became the camp's errand boy. Silvia wakes up, trying to recall if he really was Cleon the warrior. She realizes she failed to die again. Suddenly, Randal speaks, asking how she's feeling. He says Austin used magic to heal her and advises her to rest. She notices his puffy eyes and gets up. She gently holds his face. Has he been crying? She wonders why he makes her feel so flustered. When despair creeps in, he immediately looks her way and speaks to her with sincere eyes. He pulls back, saying he was worried about her. She smiles, opens her arms, and asks to share his body heat. She's really cold. He blushes and embraces her tightly. Moments later, he tells her he sent a letter to her parents about her injury. Ugh, they must be in love! Knowing her parents, they probably wanted to rush over right away. However, Austin's new barrier isn't finished yet, making it too dangerous to come. He adds that the Floret estate is near the capital, so she can teleport there without straining her body. She's confused. He explains the northern kingdoms aren't safe to live in, so he will send her back to the Floret estate to ensure her safety. Silvia stares at Randal, dumbfounded and hurt by his proposal of sending her back to her parents. Just looking at him, she can tell how hard he's thought of his decision. But being apart from him is something she refuses to entertain. Being in the north means a lot of opportunities for her death, after all. She tries to reason with him, claiming that she'd be ridiculed for failing her duties as the Duchess of the North. Yet Randal remains firm, reassuring her that no such thing would happen. He tries his best to act composed, but deep down he's breaking. The guilt of putting Silvia in danger eats away at his conscience. Unexpectedly, Silvia pulls him close, embracing him warmly. The North is her home now. And most of all, she likes him, so there's no way she'd accept his offer. Hearing her words, Randal melts into her arms, pulling her closer to him as he thanks her, once more apologizing for not being able to protect her. As they pull away from each other, the two lock eyes, and little by little, Randal inches close enough to kiss her. But suddenly, he stops himself and rolls Silvia into her blankets as he leaves. She looks like a sushi roll. Outside, he reprimands himself for almost giving in to his desires. Snapping out of it, he then decides to focus on more urgent matters, especially concerning the demon incident. Apparently, on the night of the attack, he found out that the demon had been brought in using a jewel with a teleportation spell. Fury in his eyes, he demanded to know the culprit, only for Rubia Glaver to turn herself in. Rubia explained herself, recounting how she was tearing up her dress to bandage Silvia. But as she did so, she noticed the jewel attached to the hem of her dress. Given Rubia's testimony, Randal and his staff sought to retrace Rubia's steps. But out of nowhere, one of Randal's vassals began ratting out the culprit. It turns out he had seen a servant fish the jewel out of his mouth before the demon materialized. As punishment, the servant's head was mounted on a spike. But despite the issue being resolved, one thing still bothers Randal: the servant's last words. Before he was executed, he confessed that he was merely a pawn working on commission. The real mastermind was still out there, and it was just someone he met by chance on the streets. Randal can only wonder who this mystery man could be. Days later, Silvia is finally well enough to move around, but to her dismay, the maids still treat her like a delicate flower. As she takes a stroll, she recalls the night of the demon attack, when she took the hit and fell into Rubia's arms. Rubia's father had muttered something from under his breath about someone who couldn't even do the job right. Oh my god, so he's the real culprit behind the attack! Speaking of which, she sees Rubia from a distance. Without hesitation, she approaches Rubia, taking the opportunity to thank her for dressing her wound. But to her surprise, Rubia replies in a word vomit. Speaking quickly, she croaks out her heartfelt thanks and leaves. Left alone, Silvia asks Thelma a question that leaves her shocked. Was there perhaps any event that could have put a rift between Randal and Marquise Glaver? Thelma answers Silvia, beginning with a tale from the past. Apparently, Randal's father, Duke Elvis, originally came from a territory called Rockland, but after losing the throne to his brother, he willingly left Rockland to make a name for himself, eventually going north and building it into Belfort territory they know today. Elvis Belfort had succeeded in reuniting all the families in the north, but in a turn of events, he and his wife succumbed to a fight against demons, leaving a young Randal behind. But due to Randal's young age, northern vassals deemed him unfit to rule. Their criticism broke him, until one day a young Randal returned home soaked in blood, clutching a dismembered demon's hand. He held it up until he collapsed, desperate to prove that he's not just a useless child. Soon, word about his bravery and determination reached the ears of many. Commoners felt sympathy as they villainized the vassals for how inconsiderate they were. Even the king had caught wind of everything, leading him to accept Randal's ascension to the title. But still, he was far too young to rule, which left him in the prince's care until he turned 10. In the midst of all the chaos, it was Marquise Glaver who reunited all the nobles again. From Randal's point of view, Marquise Glaver would be like the hero that aided him. Hearing all this, Silvia thanks Thelma for making her understand Randal more. That night, she ponders on the matter intently. In the end, she opts not to tell Randal about Marquise Glaver's betrayal, fearing he might feel broken. Someone as scarred as Randal, she can't help but feel sorry for him. Oof, he's scarred literally and figuratively. The following day, Randal and his men venture into the forest. He turns to Austin for some love advice, but he says he's asking for a friend. We've all heard that excuse before. Assuming his friend likes a girl, but the girl is only attracted to his friend's body, what should his friend do? Austin deadpans, stating that this mysterious person must truly care for the girl if he's so affected. Hearing this, Randal blushes profusely. Could it be that he's fallen for Silvia for real already? His mind wanders to all the times Silvia makes his heart skip a beat, and then it hits him. He has feelings for Silvia. Wow, took you long enough to realize. Austin continues, suggesting that the guy should give the girl a present. After all, everyone loves being given presents. More so, he should stay by her side and care for her until one day she'll love him completely. Elsewhere, Silvia, accompanied by Geoffrey and another guard, invites Rubia on a stroll. Although she feels unsettled, Rubia agrees anyway. The two head downtown, but they're stopped by a fish vendor and his wife who seems to be well acquainted with Rubia. Actually, they seem extremely close, even saying that Rubia is like their own daughter. As the three interact, Silvia looks at Rubia with awe. Who would have guessed that a noble lady like her would be so friendly with commoners? Chuckling, she makes a point to tease Rubia about it, earning her Rubia's annoyance. As an apology, she buys Rubia a jeweled butterfly ornament. Although she refuses at first, she eventually gives in and takes it, admiring it with awe. But as the day ends, Rubia finally confronts Silvia, asking her for the real reason why she invited her. Caught red-handed, Silvia admits the truth. She wants to ask for Rubia's help to learn more about the North. Although she doesn't decline, Rubia still plays hard to get. In the first place, why should she help Silvia? Answering her, Silvia nonchalantly states the obvious. Rubia will never become the Duchess, so it'd be better if she just cooperated with Silvia instead. Once more, Rubia is annoyed at Silvia, but she softens when Silvia changes the topic, bringing up her close relationship with her father, Marquis Glaver. To Rubia, her father is the kindest man she knows. Listening to her talk so fondly about her father, Silvia can only wonder if she's aware of her father's plotting. Then again, it is possible that he's scheming behind Rubia's back. Soon enough, the two engage in playful banter once again, but they're suddenly alarmed when Jeffrey alerts them to a trespasser. Ready to draw his sword, Jeffrey turns around only to see Randal with a large bouquet of flowers and a duck plushie. Immediately, Randal runs up to Silvia, offering her his gifts. He recounts how Silvia had found their room chilly, so he hopes that the plushie would keep her warm. After all, it contains a special heat stone. Silvia, however, is irked. Is he subtly telling her to hug the duck at night instead of him? Ignoring her overthinking, Silvia thanks Randal, and for the first time in a while, she smiles brightly, touched by his gesture. Her smile is even enough to make Randal blush. Behind them, Rubia watches them with distant emotion. Seeing them happy, she smiles to herself, finally accepting that she can't compete with Silvia. I love her character so much. Her wariness towards Silvia isn't out of jealousy. Time passes, and the Eve Festival is finally upon them. It's a festival held a day before the hunt, usually as a way of promoting the event. Unfortunately for Silvia, she hasn't been able to enjoy these past few days. Why? Because Randal has been acting strange, showering her with all sorts of gifts almost every day. Receiving all those gifts, Silvia can only think that maybe Randal has fallen in love with her for real. This predicament of hers she shares with Rubia, who isn't so enthusiastic to hear her out. Unwilling to listen to her anymore, Rubia gets up, preparing herself for the hunt. She turns to Silvia, hoping to tell her not to follow, but instead she is met with her hand caressing her face. Face to face with each other, Silvia moves closer, tying Rubia's loose ribbon for her. All the while, Rubia remains stiff, unsure how to react. Before long, she excuses herself and heads into the woods, shaking herself off from such an interaction. She's so flustered, look at her blush! As she wanders deeper into the woods, she spots a familiar figure, her own father, but he seems to be conversing with someone. Naturally, Rubia eavesdrops, but she's shocked to see her father talking with a demon. Listening to their conversation, the demon tells Marquis Glaver that he'll take care of Randal, and when he does, the Marquis can finally rule the North. This unsettles Rubia. Right then and there, she makes up her mind. She'll kill the demon from her hiding place. Hopefully, her act would lessen her father's crime of conspiring with demon folk. But before she can draw her weapon, the demon appears beside her. The demon is actually Raffled the Shredder, one of the weaker demon folk known to repeatedly challenge Randal. He, however, always meets the same fate of being defeated, leaving him with no choice but to flee before Randal can slay him. Now, standing before Rubia is Raffled himself. She tries to break free from his hold, but it's to no avail. He yanks her from her hiding spot, revealing her to her own father, who isn't too pleased to see her there. Without explanation, Marquis Glaver drags Rubia away, cutting his conversation with Raffled short. With each step, Rubia grows more restless and desperate, demanding to know what her father was doing conspiring with a demon. Having had enough, the Marquis finally snaps. He doesn't deny his involvement with the demon. In fact, he even justifies his scheming. He claims that everything he did was only to take back what is rightfully his. After all, House Belfort stole the North from House Glaver. With a look of grim certainty, he tells her it's too late to turn back from everything he's done. So it'd be in her best interest to keep her mouth shut. If anybody finds out, no doubt she'll be executed alongside him. Left alone, Rubia despairs, but beneath her a dark force stirs. Apparently, it's a lost spirit, one that Silvia had attached to her earlier that day. That night, the spirit reports everything back to Silvia, and although she's intrigued, she refuses to do anything about the situation. However, she wonders how Rubia will act. The following day, the sun shines as the hunt is set to take place, but all Silvia can think about is to get caught in Marquis Glaver's plans and die. Hand in hand, Silvia and Randal walk together before the hunt officially begins. To Randal's embarrassment, he can't seem to hide how flustered he is whenever he's with Silvia. Just then, the hunt begins, and Randal takes this as his cue to get going. He's about to leave when Silvia grips his hand tighter, pleading with him to stay safe during the hunt. His face flushes red in an instant, and although her words warm his heart, he reminds himself of the harsh truth, that Silvia is probably only worried about his body, not him as Randal Belfort, her husband. I feel sad for Randal. Shortly after, Rubia, accompanied by her father, approaches Silvia, asking for her handkerchief. Apparently, it's customary for noble ladies to give their handkerchiefs to friends or loved ones who are off to battle. This puzzles Silvia, though, because the custom clearly doesn't apply to hunting competitions. Sensing her reluctance, Rubia tries to sway her, claiming that she's her only friend after all. Hearing this, Silvia gives in, but as she hands Rubia her handkerchief, something is amiss. As thanks, Rubia offers to bring back an animal resembling Silvia, despite the latter's behest. Not wanting to hold her for long, Silvia encourages her to get going. But when father and daughter leave, she immediately stares at her palms, eyeing a well-folded note that Rubia had discreetly slipped into her hands earlier. A string of questions come to her mind as she wonders what Rubia could have written. Flicking it open, she reads through it, amused. Just then, Jeffrey comes to find her, but he's at a loss for words when she declares that she'll compete in the hunting competition. Elsewhere, Marquis Glaver leads Rubia deep into the forest, reminding her to stay quiet about his menacing plot. But as Rubia follows him, all she can think about is the note she left with Silvia. Last night, Rubia wrote a letter to Silvia detailing her father's act of treason by conspiring with the demon, Raffled. She suspects that they're trying to summon a demon beast during the hunt, so she begs Silvia to alert Randal immediately. She, of all people, knows that she shares the blame for her father's crimes, but she's prepared to receive punishment either way. At present, Raffled arrives, reminding the Marquis about the jewel that he tasked him to bring. The two put their plan in motion, and immediately a demonic portal opens from the sky. The last piece? The jewel. It would be the key to their success. But just as Raffled takes the jewel, an arrow pierces it, shattering it to pieces. From the shadows, Randal and his men reveal themselves, ready to seize the traitors. Raffled and the Marquis look at each other confusingly, wondering how Randal caught wind of their plan. Then it hits the Marquis. This is probably Rubia's doing. From behind him, Rubia smiles with relief upon seeing help arrive. But her smile soon disappears when Randal holds her in contempt for plotting treason with her father. His words ring in her ears, and for a moment, her world shatters. Didn't Silvia tell Randal about her letter? A storm brews inside Randal as he confronts Raffled. However, Raffled isn't one to back down. Summoning a surge of demonic energy, he unleashes it on Randal and his men. They're about to fight back, but Marquis Glaver threatens them, holding Rubia hostage. It turns out Silvia never got to relay Rubia's letter to Randal, but for some reason, Randal did his own investigation days prior to the hunt. Apparently, days after executing the servant who released a demon into the castle, Randal and Austin went into the streets undercover, hoping to catch the true mastermind. As he concealed himself among the commoners, one nobleman's presence raised his suspicions. It was Marquis Glaver. Following the Marquis secretly, the two discovered that they'd been plotting to stage an attack during the hunting competition. Although the Marquis was one of his most trusted vassals, Randal couldn't just turn a blind eye. Putting his personal feelings aside, he and Austin returned to the palace, determined to put an end to Marquis Glaver's schemes. At present, Marquis Glaver holds a dagger to Rubia's throat, threatening to hurt her. So much for being the kindest person she knows. Seeing this unfold, Austin is appalled at how twisted the Marquis is. Unexpectedly, the Marquis snaps, but this time it's to clear Rubia's name. But because she's innocent, it makes her a better hostage. Concerned, Randal negotiates Rubia's release, but what the Marquis asks for is a magic portal so he can escape. Hearing this, Rubia makes a brave decision that leaves her in tears and sends Randal running toward her. She decides to sacrifice herself. Just as she launches herself towards her father's blade, darkness erupts from the ground, cutting off the Marquis's hand. Seeing this, Raffled is in shock because that certainly wasn't his doing. But as he's caught off guard, Randal swoops in and drives a blade through him. Days later, news of Randal's triumph spread far and wide. The demon, Raffled, has finally been executed. Marquise Glaver, on the other hand, is sentenced to death. As for Rubia, due to her efforts of reporting her father's crimes, she's exempted from any punishment. And speaking of Rubia, she has yet to recover from her injuries. But guess who's taking care of her? Silvia! To Silvia, taking care of Rubia is the least she can do, considering she failed to inform Randal about her note in time. In truth, it was Silvia who summoned the darkness to save Rubia. But what she didn't expect was for Randal to be there. How did he even know about Marquise Glaver's schemes? But what piques her curiosity more is Rubia's actions. Unable to hold herself back, she asks Rubia herself. How was she able to let go of all her earthly attachment when deciding to sacrifice herself? Rubia is astonished by her question. Her answer, though, is simple. She only did what she was meant to do as a human. Hearing this, Silvia doesn't press the matter further. When she leaves, she finds herself pondering Rubia's answer. Just then, Randal arrives, and looking at him, she can't help but pity him for all the things he's endured. Her concern doesn't get unnoticed by Randal, so he quickly reassures her that he's fine. Sure, he's upset about the Marquise's betrayal, but he'll learn to live with it. For the life of her, Silvia really can't figure out how human minds and hearts work. That afternoon, Silvia's parents come to visit. But when they ask if she'll come home to Florette, Silvia is speechless, and so is Randal, who overhears their conversation. Some time ago, Randal was ready to send Silvia back to Florette with her parents. But the same can't be said now when he's already grown attached to her. Trying to peek through the door, Randal sticks around for Silvia's reaction. To his surprise, Silvia declines her parents' offer, expressing that she'll remain in the north. Unable to contain his happiness, Randal accidentally drops the tray of snacks, causing all eyes to fall on him. To be honest, Randal is so happy that he could just cry. But once more, he has to remind himself that Silvia isn't staying because she loves him. After all, she just wants a physical relationship with him. Later, over dinner, the atmosphere is dampened when Silvia's parents ask if there's any news of a baby anytime soon. Trying to play safe, Randal only replies that they hope to have one all in good time. Internally, Randal realizes something deep. Maybe the reason Silvia has been adamant on consummating their marriage is because she feels pressured to bear an heir. Oh, believe me, sir, it's definitely not that. Our girl is just tired of living 99 lives already. That night, in the solace of their bedroom, Randal makes it his mission to reassure Silvia. Speaking from the heart, he tells her how he doesn't want her to feel pressure about giving him an heir. However, Silvia's reaction isn't what he expected at all. From beside him, she trembles, exclaiming that no matter what happens, she can't have a baby. Tension and awkwardness seep into the air, and even as the two call it in for the night, they're left lying awake, unable to sleep. Randal is worried and curious, while Silvia is clearly shaken, probably by something she's kept hidden all these years. Silvia starts to remember her second reincarnation as Xenia, who, like her, was always waiting to die. Every day, Xenia went to the demon's den, but every day, a man always stopped her and got in her way, which left her plans always ruined. But even after rejecting and pushing the man away, he still didn't stop pestering her. As time passed, Xenia found herself falling for him, and soon enough, the two built a family together. Xenia and the man had a peaceful and happy life together with their daughter. However, this was destroyed when Xenia worked as a mercenary sorcerer. Some people who lost their jobs became jealous of Xenia, so as revenge, they burned her house with her family inside. Losing your baby is worse than dying. After living through that second life, she never dared to get pregnant again in any of her reincarnations. The following day, Silvia visits the town square with Jeffrey, who is curious why Silvia brought him with her. Silvia only smiles at him and asks him to stop addressing her formally since they're outside. As Silvia strolls around, she suddenly hears someone chasing after a pickpocket. Silvia instantly realizes that this is a great plan to blow off some steam, hence, she instructs Jeffrey to chase after the pickpocket. But as she wanders around, the pickpocket is quickly caught by a girl who looks so innocently cute, leaving Silvia disappointed. Upon looking at the girl, Silvia starts to see a resemblance to her in a puppy, which Silvia thinks looks cute. She then helps the girl stop the pickpocket from escaping. Suddenly, the pickpocket's mouth starts to bubble, making the girl think that her bite is actually dangerous. Silvia catches the girl's attention as she helps her, and instantly, the girl is in awe of Silvia's beauty. She even thinks Silvia's an angel. However, their conversation is interrupted by Jeffrey, who rushes towards Silvia with concern. Seeing Jeffrey's concerned face, Silvia explains that she had gotten lost because she wasn't good with directions. Hearing this, Jeffrey then comments that Silvia can't survive in the world if she's that bad with navigation. Jeffrey later looks at the girl beside Silvia and instantly recognizes her as Philia Sacrine, the daughter of Marquis Sacrine. Realizing that she's in the presence of Duchess Belfort, Philia quickly pays her respect. But out of nowhere, she informs Silvia that she, Philia, was previously arranged to be married to Duke Belfort. Intrigued, Silvia then decides to bring Philia back to the palace with her. In the palace, Randal is shocked by Philia's arrival and is speechless when she headlocks him. Seeing this exchange, Silvia realizes that they might have been close since childhood, but for some reason, she feels troubled. She can't stand seeing them so close to each other. Silvia's thoughts are later cut off when Randal approaches her and adoringly suggests that she rest in their room so she doesn't catch a cold. As for Philia, he instructs Wilcott to assist her. As Silvia and Randal walk away together, Philia can only stare at them from behind. As if sensing a peering gaze behind her, Silvia then becomes uncomfortable. "I hope Philia isn't a villain." Later that night, Philia sneaks out of her room but is surprised when Jeffrey grabs her. Curious, he asks why she's walking alone at night. Philia relaxes after seeing that it's just Jeffrey who grabbed her out of nowhere. She then excitedly asks if he was looking for her at such a late hour. Unfortunately, it isn't what Philia expects though, because Jeffrey just tells her that he was simply on night patrol. Blankly, he tells her to head back inside. This makes Philia feel disappointed, and she quickly stops him, questioning why he was protecting Silvia. In the past, he had promised her that he would never become anyone's bodyguard. He cuts her off, reminding her that he only promised it to Philia, his friend, not the daughter of Marquis Sacrine. Hearing this, Philia is speechless and a tad bit hurt. The next morning, Randal is busy forcing Silvia to eat breakfast, but she keeps on rejecting it. Meanwhile, Philia looks at the two weirdly, finding them ridiculous. She proceeds to eat peacefully while wondering why Randal is close with Silvia, when in fact, Silvia's family is on the king's side. On the other hand, Silvia starts to notice Philia's stares, making her think that Philia might be jealous of how Randal is treating her. Thus, she begins to act warmly towards him by eating the food that Randal gave her, making Randal flustered a little bit. Hence, Silvia thinks she has won this round. Later that day, Philia tags along with Silvia and Jeffrey as they walk around the town square. This makes Silvia think that she might be stalking her, which is half true. However, to Philia, her real intention is that Jeffrey and Silvia shouldn't be alone together. Silvia sees cute flowers, so she decides to buy them and show them to Thelma as decoration for the debutante ball. But then Philia asks Silvia, albeit innocently, if she's going to bring them to the castle. Randal's allergic to siren flowers. Silvia feels a bit slighted, jealous even, because Philia clearly knows Randal more. Trying to keep her pride, she then hands the flowers to Jeffrey, saying that it's her present to him. This gesture makes Philia fume, jealousy boiling within. They are cute when they are teasing each other. As Silvia continues to walk, a woman bumps her, and she instantly feels a darkness from that person. Her curiosity gets the best of her, so she quickly follows the woman. Silvia starts to think that the woman might be a demon, but then again, she can't sense any malice, and the woman's skin color is different from demons. However, Silvia also knows that potions can help alter a demon's appearance. Although it's challenging to acquire them, it's still possible. Silvia is so lost in her thoughts that she doesn't even notice that the woman has already become aware of her. Straightforward, she confronts Silvia, asking what her intentions are for following her. Just looking at the woman, Silvia affirms that the lady is indeed a woman. Meanwhile, the lady is busy being in awe at Silvia's beauty. The woman starts praising Silvia's beauty and invites her for a drink in her bar. Arriving at the bar, the woman then orders a special alcohol for Silvia. She cuts straight to the chase, inviting Silvia to work at her tavern. When the drink arrives, she suggests that Silvia give it a taste. Silvia, of course, knows better. It's clearly spiked with poison. However, she still drinks it because she doesn't deem it too deadly. Silvia then asks the woman where her boss is. She tells her that she'll only accept the job offer if it's directly from the owner, which catches the woman off guard. The woman composes herself and tries to stall as she waits for the poison to take effect. But to her dismay, a waitress barges in, reporting that the Duke of Belfort and his knights are outside waiting for Silvia, the Duchess of Belfort. Messed with the wrong person, huh? Everyone in the tavern freezes when Randal himself storms in, raiding the place looking for Silvia. The woman flinches upon seeing Randal, noting how he gives off an air of strength. But then Randal walks right toward her, a murderous aura enveloping him. Luckily, Silvia manages to cool him down. Randal, ever the sweetest husband, checks up on Silvia, but Silvia is curious why he's in the tavern to begin with. Apparently, he received a report that she was missing, which explains their current situation. He had abandoned demon hunting in an instant to look for her. Randal still stares at the woman warily. He also wants to know why Silvia is in the tavern. Silvia explains the situation, stating that she was the one who invited the woman for a drink as thanks for finding her brooch. Our girl can lie with a straight face. Witnessing how Silvia helps her, the woman realizes that Silvia isn't an ordinary woman. Hence, she lets Silvia go even if she gets in trouble with the other side. Before Silvia leaves, she asks for the woman's name, to which she introduces herself as Bella. Back home, Silvia notices how silent Randal is. He's probably mad about her escape. But just as prideful, she doesn't talk to him either, since she is also annoyed by how close he and Philia are. When Randal finally calms down, he truthfully lets his feelings spill. He only acted that way because he was worried about her safety. Why is he so cute? Randal continues to share with Silvia how scared and anxious he was after finding out that she was gone. Silvia sees how sincere he looks, and she instantly realizes that his feelings for her are genuine. But she can already foresee that if these feelings continue, it will be difficult for her to leave and die peacefully. His feelings will be like a chain around her neck, holding her down. Without emotion, she apologizes and tells him that she would not do it again. Admittedly, it was careless of her to act that way, especially since she's the Duchess of Belfort. Being the diplomat between them, Randal tries to make Silvia understand more, but Silvia's cold attitude towards him was obviously a rejection. A request for him not to move closer. Taking a hint, he then takes his leave, hurt and disappointed. Oh, poor Randal. But I also understand where Silvia is coming from. Meanwhile, Bella is still recovering from how scary Randal was. Later, she enters a secret room within the tavern, a room where people are intoxicated by greed, gambling their time and money away. Just then, Bella's aura also changes, becoming more frightening. After assessing the gambling room, she proceeds to her office and decides to report to her boss. She reports that she just met with Randal and how she didn't realize that the lady that she was trying to recruit was the Duchess of Belfort. This infuriates Bella's boss, and he starts scolding her for not knowing who Silvia is, when in fact, she has already been stationed in the north for months. He also adds that Bella should be thankful for not arousing suspicion about their illegal activities, aka their hidden gambling room. With a voice filled with ill intent, Bella's boss reminds her about their real plan and instructs her to start working on it. Hearing this, Bella grins and agrees to her boss, who just so happens to be the crown prince. Although she isn't too fond of her boss, she puts up with him because having someone as powerful as him would be beneficial one day, especially on a day she'd want to eat as many humans as she can. So the crown prince wants Randal dead? Meanwhile, Philia is back at Sakrina's estate, and upon arriving, she is hit by her mother, who nags about how irresponsible Philia is for disturbing the Belfort family. After being punished, she tries to dance around her fury. Hugging her mother and acting cute might just do the trick. Back at the Belfort estate, both Randal and Silvia are more distant than ever. While they're in the garden, Silvia notices how cold Randal is as he maintains his distance. It makes her feel a little sad. But hey, this is what she wanted, right? A little while later, Wilcott calls their attention, reminding them that they should be elsewhere. At their sponsored orphanage, to be exact. Arriving at the orphanage, the children excitedly approach Randal, telling him how much they miss him. However, their attention instantly turns towards Silvia, and they start to stare at her in awe, mesmerized by her beauty. The children then start to interrogate Randal about who Silvia is, and later tease him for bringing his girlfriend. That's his wife, actually. As Randal busies himself entertaining the children, Silvia takes the opportunity to get some fresh air. It's not like they'd even notice she's gone, right? Outside the orphanage, Silvia is amazed by how beautiful and peaceful the place is. Even the weather seems to be perfect. She's about to nap peacefully under the tree's shade when she spots Austin happily playing with the children outdoors. Can I please have Austin? At one point, the ball rolls towards Silvia, and only then does Austin notice her. She comments on how close he is with the kids, and well, he doesn't deny it. Truth be told, he's indebted to these children, but he doesn't explain anything. Trying to change the topic, he tells Silvia that she should probably head inside the east room to rest. Without question, she heeds his words, but when she enters the room, she is met with an adorable sight. Randal's peacefully sleeping with the children. Ever so carefully, she approaches him, just hovering over his sleeping frame. A smile forms on her lips as she takes in her view. But just then, his eyes flutter awake. Randal is flustered to see her, but it intensifies when she smiles and gently caresses his hair. Realizing how close their faces are, Randal blushes a deep red, but is then distracted when the other kids also wake up from their naps. When the kids see Silvia, they cutely ask if she's the teacher who's going to read to them. Hearing this, Randal panics and tries to stop the kids from pressuring Silvia to read to them, but then she surprises him. She agrees to read to the children. Silvia then tells the kids to gather around her as she begins. Not her reading them a book on how to die quicker. She's too funny. Randal stares at Silvia, noticing how great she is with the kids. Because of this, his curiosity eats away at his mind again. Why was Silvia so adamant on not wanting to have a baby? What could have happened? Pushing his luck, he decides to ask her again later. When Randal and Silvia are about to leave, the kids try to beg Silvia to visit them again. All the while, Randal looks butthurt. Why aren't they asking him to visit again too? Later in the carriage, Randal tries his luck again as he asks why she's so against having a child. Unfortunately, she dodges his question. With a smile on her face, she tells him that their relationship right now is already perfect as it is. Rejection and disappointment slap Randal right in the face. But he's stubborn, so he finally makes a decision. If it's just his body she wants, then it's exactly what he'll give. The day of the debutante ball finally arrives, and both Silvia and Randal look exquisite. But playful as ever, Silvia teases him, telling him he looks cuter in his birthday suit, making Randal blush. As the two dance together, Randal strikes a deal with Silvia. He'll let her touch him in exchange for one day of her time. He's so cute. Silvia is confused, but she quickly catches on, realizing that Randal still hasn't given up on pursuing her. He thinks that agreeing to her past contract will pave the way into her heart. Knowing this, Silvia starts to realize that in the past, she might have appeared too obsessed with consummating their marriage, but the fact that he thinks she'll take his bait? She's quite appalled at his audacity. Ultimately, Silvia decides to accept Randal's deal without explaining herself. After all, this is for the better, right? Randal must want her heart so much that he'd agree to give his body to her. Hearing her accept his deal, Randal is ecstatic. Meanwhile, Philia stares at Jeffrey, who, at present, is being circled by ladies. She then starts getting annoyed by how thirsty they are for his attention. She's sure that there are other knights they can bother. Seeing how aggressive the ladies are, Philia marches right at them, ready to stake her claim on him. But she's intercepted by her father, who pulls her towards Randal. He wants Philia to dance with the Duke. Philia tries to refuse, but when her father stares daggers at her, she realizes it's no use. He's clearly not in his right senses, Philia thinks. Soon enough, Marquis Sacrine offers Philia up to Randal, suggesting they dance together. With a smile, Silvia encourages Randal, but Philia is no fool not to notice Silvia's discomfort. While dancing, Philia asks Randal to help her get the ladies away from Jeffrey. However, Randal refuses. Philia later tries to remind Randal that Silvia's family, the Florettes, has close ties with the king, but Randal quickly cuts her off and tells her that he doesn't care since he loves her, even if Silvia did reject him. Knowing this, Philia then proposes a plan to make Jeffrey and Silvia jealous. Oh, not a bad plan, Philia. From a distance, Silvia stares at Randal and Philia. Beside her, Marquis Sacrine comments that Randal and Philia make a lovely pair. Internally, Silvia seethes with anger at the Marquise, but she doesn't let it show. Trying to keep her dignity, she excuses herself from the Marquise. But just as she leaves, something changes within the Marquise. It's like a switch that's just been flicked. He suddenly becomes conscious of his surroundings as if waking up from a trance. Was Philia's father possessed by a demon or what? Meanwhile, Randal disappoints Philia as he rejects her proposal. He doesn't want to force or manipulate Silvia into loving him, which is why he wants to continue showing Silvia how genuine he is in pursuing her. He then cuts their dance short, excusing himself shortly. Left alone, Philia inwardly agrees with Randal's words. Motivated, she then gains the courage to ask Jeffrey for a dance. And guess what? He happily agrees. Meanwhile, Randal approaches Silvia, who then invites him to join her on the balcony. As they enjoy the fresh air, they both find out that neither of them have ever joined a debutante ball before. Bonded by a strange experience, or a lack thereof, Randal then asks Silvia to dance with him outside, experiencing their first debutante ball together. His gesture warms Silvia's heart, and she happily agrees to dance with him. Hand in hand, the two dance under the moonlight. That's so romantic. Back inside, Rubia is busy rejecting everyone who dares to approach her. All she can think about is the paperwork she could have finished if she wasn't attending this ball. But she doesn't have a choice because she also wanted to pay her respects to the Duchess. Not wanting to socialize, Rubia retreats to a corner to hide from the crowd. But to her dismay, the spot is already occupied by a bored mage, Austin. Seeing her invade his space, Austin tells her to find another corner because this one was clearly taken already. This annoys Rubia, but luckily, she knows him too well. For the price of 1 gold, she offers to buy his spot. Ever the negotiator, Austin declines, saying he'll only accept if she raises it to 5 gold. The guy's definitely a hustler. In her mind, Rubia can't understand why someone with his position and talent would be so easily swayed by money. Meanwhile, Austin is internally judging Rubia too, noting that she's just like other aristocrats. Just then, Countess Seriad, the famous chatterbox, struts towards the two. Bold as ever, she tries to persuade Austin and Rubia into dancing with her son and daughter. Quick on their feet, Rubia and Austin avoid the situation, claiming that they were just about to dance with each other. Oh, new couple alert! The following day, Silvia is surprised to read the headlines. Rubia and Austin were caught dancing with each other at the debutante ball. Soon, even the maids start commenting on how the two make a great pair. But speaking of great pairs, Silvia asks the maids to help her get ready because she and Randal are heading out for a date. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think? As always, don't forget to like the video and comment for the next part so we know you want more. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates. See you in the next one!